Welcome in 29ers. Jay Smithini here from the mothership in Houston, Texas, as we count down the days to the holidays, which is kind of a cribbage slow time. But Terry Cushman making the trip up north over last weekend. You got in some live cribbage recently. You went up to, what is it, Virginia Beach, like former Grand National site. Like, do you drive or fly this time?
I drove to the Raleigh area, met up with Steve Podolsky, Megan Player, and Jamie Fincher. We went out for pizza. Megan brought a cribbage board. We played Canadian doubles. I gave her 3 5s and a face. We cut a 5. She had a 28 hand. That was kind of
It's a good
interesting.
partner. Good partner.
Yeah,
All right.
we both kept a straight face, throughout the hand and all that. So then she got it, and then I crashed at Steve Podolsky's house, and then we rode up together to Virginia Beach. It spitted snow a little bit. You could see it accumulate kind of on the grass, not so much on the roads, thank goodness. But yeah, and it was a good weekend. I think they had 52 players for each event, and that was a record for the Friday event. I don't know if it was a record for Saturday. It might have been. So that was good. We had that room full. They had to extend 2 of the tables, which is I've obviously never seen before. So the numbers are going up in Virginia Beach, which is good. And it was a good tournament. Lori, Jack, Megan, Jen all kind of teamed up to run it. So might need the bigger room upstairs in future years. Maybe for February. I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, I nice people and like other than like you and Megan, a group like that. You never know. Did olives on the pizza this time, or just keep it like nice and chill?
I had the pizza that was called Chaos, and it was mostly meat, but I think there was some cherry tomatoes on it, which is fine.
Okay, all right. We'll get you going on the green olives soon enough. I think I sent you. Didn't I send you like a month ago? It was a meme or
Oh,
a video
yeah.
of like it was a pizza and it was just like covered and there was like more olives on this pizza than there was like cheese and crust and like anything else. And like
You
I like
couldn't see
olives, but that's
anything.
no, it was a little much. It was a little much. I would not eat that pizza, but it's fun to send you those things and just get the reactions. So well,
Yeah.
good. Glad you had fun out
Well,
there. The cards. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say we're seated near the bar, and there was a dude with a Yankees hat, and the waitresses were all very personable and asking questions about cribbage, which was kind of nice, to see people curious about it. And I said to one of them, I'm like, "You're gonna let a guy sit up there, with a Yankees cap on?" And she goes, "Well, he kind of owns the place." And I'm like, "Well,
Ooh.
throw his ass out anyway." And she's like, "No." So anyway, I still got to write them a review. I'm going to give them a 5-star review, but I will mention that in there. Yeah. But so getting to the action, I continued my tragic pattern from Massachusetts where I won, I think, 7 of my first 8 games. And then I lost, I'm not exaggerating, I lost 7 in a row. And it was a 16 game format, by the way. And I hope Lori considers doing this every year and maybe even the February one as well. It was so awesome to not have to book a room on Thursday night. You could drive up because the 16 gamer per the ACC rules has to start at noon. So you can drive up
Ooh,
the
okay,
morning of.
yeah.
So you save money that way.
Save an
And
extra night. Yeah, sure.
I couldn't care less. And there's no consi after it because it starts at noon, goes till about 5 or 6. I think we were done by 5 actually. And but they did have a satellite for the masochists that were there. But I like that format a lot, and hopefully they do it. So again, I won 7 of my first 8, lost 7 in a row, saved face in the final game to at least be 50-50, but that didn't qualify. Um, James Ravenscroft won that event, and I kind of watched most of his run through the playoffs. He's fun to watch. I kind of you like to really analyze the real good players, and um, yeah, so he won it. I think it might be a second win overall and second win in Virginia Beach this calendar year. So congrats to him for that. And a couple of the hands later in the analysis are hands that I watched him play. So we'll
Oh,
get to
okay.
those later on. And then finally on Saturday, I finally bucked the trend and qualified. And the neat thing about it was none of my losses were flippable. Like there was no
Mhm.
mistake I made that cost me a game, and there was no unfortunate bad beat aspect of any game. In fact, it was the opposite. I was catching the breaks and winning games. There was one opponent I was like 13 out. I had 2 7s and 8, and I think a small card, and we cut an 8, and I pegged the 1. So that got me out. That was one that I kind of stole. This next thing, this is the most disgusting thing I've done to anybody in a long time. I was playing Christy Hott, who's a North Carolina player, and
Mhm.
she was actually my opponent in the finals of the National
I
Open.
was about to say former finalist in the National Open, if I remember correctly. Yes,
Yep,
that's correct.
yep.
Yep. You know that a little better than me. Sure.
Exactly. And this is crazy. I was holding 6 6 7 9, and I'm in the, let's see, the 89 hole dealing, and she's probably, I don't know, she's probably in the 94 95 hole, something like that. But
Mhm.
I'm too far back to be the dealer there. And I forget what I threw to the crib. Oh, we got to talk about my pants on the ground moment too.
What I'm sorry.
Yeah,
The things I did not expect to hear, but go. All right, let's go
yeah,
through the
yeah. So let's get
hands.
through this one.
Yep. Okay.
And anyway, so she leads a king. Okay, I play my 9. She plays another king, and it's a go, and she takes it. And I decided to lead my 7 because I'm thinking if she has all faces, I can get my 2 6s in for 3. So
Sure.
that's why I kind of ran it, and that wasn't really going to help me a lot in that spot. But I'm like, it's the
Yeah,
best
you got to
play.
maximize, right?
Yeah,
Optimize, get as much as you can.
exactly. And so I lead my 7. She plays a 6. I pair it. She trips it, and then I quadded it for 31 for 14. That
Wow.
got me way up the board, and, I think after I counted my crib, I was, like, maybe 8 or 9 out and managed to win it. So that was, like, the biggest break that went my way. There was a couple of games where we were right at the end, within the last 3 or 4 holes, and, I was able to hold them every time. And so, literally, everything finally went my way when in the last 4 or 5 weeks, it felt like nothing was going my way. So it's crazy how it goes from one extreme to the other. Okay, so I did 2 stupid things. The least stupid one I'll do first. It was against Christie in the Friday
The 16
16 game
gamer,
event. So this
right?
this was different from the game we just played. I had 2, 3, 4 king. We cut a king, and with no hesitation whatsoever, I took 11 points.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of 9. And I think I was thinking of the 4, 5, 6
King,
combination,
king.
king, king.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's what I thought, but I felt pretty stupid when I did that. So I went back to, she went ahead to, per the normal standards. All right, here's my pants on the ground moment. This should not have happened.
I'm
And this
hoping you mean figuratively, but yes, go on, continue.
figuratively, yes. I
Okay,
was
good,
playing
good.
Jennifer Johnson, or Jennifer
Sure.
Medeiros, however people know her, and board of director as well.
Hate
And
those board of directors players. Yeah, go on.
yeah, and this was on Saturday, and I was dealing from, I think I must have been about in the 93 hole, so I'm a little too far back. Sometimes you can manage it, and I forget what my hand even was, but I threw face 5 to the crib, and, we got through the pegging. I counted my hand, and I my hand got me to the, let's see, the 105 hole.
Okay.
And for some reason, I wasn't optimistic that my crib was gonna be good based on what she had. And so I flip it over, and what I thought I saw was 5, 9, 10, Jack, Queen. And
Okay.
I think the
10 or
10
11.
I think
Yeah.
the 10 was the cut card. And so, without looking at it too much, I just tossed it over and I was thrilled to have 11 points because that got me to 5 out. I threw it over, I took my 11 and she starts analyzing the hand. So now my radar is up and I'm like, "Oh no, was it 9 points?" And I just did it again. And it turned out I had a 15-point crib with the right jack.
Oh,
There
no.
was a double run in there. And so it wasn't immediately like I felt stupid, like again, pants on the ground. And but I was 5 out and that got her to about 8 or 9 out. So I'm not too worried about it yet.
Didn't really change the landscape all that much.
Not
However,
really. So far a no harm, no foul type situation. But the very next hand I had to hold 2, 3, 10, queen, and I think I threw middle king, something like that.
yeah.
So I kept the 2, 3, 10, queen. We cut a 7. And
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, so instantly now anxiety's up, heart rate's up. I'm probably sweating a little bit because I'm embarrassed and stressed at this point. And I led my 3. I forget what she played. I dumped my 2. You're dumping your small ones, that's what you do.
Right.
And then I had to play the count must have been 18. And she's showing a 6, 8. So I guess maybe the count was 19 then. And so I play my face to make it 19, and I'm waiting for an ace to drop and for this
Right.
game to basically end. But by the grace of God, she said go. So I got my go, and then I had enough to win. And so that was like the dumbest thing I've done in a long time. I should have taken an extra second. I've done this in Texas Hold'em before where I've thought I've had 2 queens and I just didn't spread the cards enough and it was
Mhm.
queen 10. So perhaps that's what it was, but again, that was just that again the dumbest thing I've done all weekend. And I
Couple of notes before you go too far here. Just
sure.
I don't want this to go away into the ether because so for those who aren't experienced players, what Terry means with the 2-3 face-to-face hand is if you need to peg 1 point and you have a hand like that, you want to hold your faces to the end because chances are you can get your opponent who is dealer to play 3 cards, or if they have a similar hand, a lot of times like you'll get the go on the back end when they have big cards along with yours. I just didn't want that, for newer players who don't understand the logic with that, because I know I had a point in my playing times that I didn't understand that like element of that. So I didn't want that to go by. But go on, you were gonna hit the second part there.
I think that was pretty much it.
Mhm.
Just I should have paid more attention than I was, and again, I'm a perfect candidate for Adderall because that might solve that. But uh,
Get you going here, Terry. Like, well,
yeah,
it is an important thing for those afflicted with like ADHD, like I am. I remember taking that like test once, and I aced that test. Like nobody's ever aced that test. I'm quite like afflicted with that. To back up to the mistake too, we all do it. Like I don't care who you are. Like you, me. Like I don't think either of us are Eric Locke or Voldemort or whoever it is. But like those guys make mistakes too. And if you're a newer player, you make a mistake. I feel like that's the biggest difference is a lot of players when they make a mistake, it will affect them later. And what I've at least tried to tell people and tried to give myself this on advice is okay, the rest of my life to hate myself for this mistake, to punish myself, to feel bad about it, whatever it is. But forget it. Let's focus on the next hand only and just move on and like let's not let one mistake be 2 or 3 or 4. And I feel like that's a very important little like lesson of really life as a whole, but cribbage in particular. Just like we're all gonna make mistakes and like allow yourself to feel okay with it, especially in Muggins tournament, right? Like I feel like people are very on guard and newer players can get thrown very easily. That's why it's like the newer players at grassroots. Sometimes I'll ask them, "Hey, are you if you miss points, do you want me to tell you? Because some people, it makes them feel worse about it. But I never want to be like a mansplainer dude. Like, hey, did you know you missed points? Right? Don't be that guy. Please don't be that guy. Like, no matter who the player is. A lot of people do that, or talk about, I don't know, like judge things and quote the rule book and things like that to, how can I say it in a family friendly way on this, to show off their prowess. There's other ways to phrase that, but there's, just don't be that person. Like if so there are sometimes, and we mentioned this in the pre-show. I'm leading you into this, right? The rule, somebody is infringing upon it, and you can say it to them. Hey, I know this rule. Like, we can call a judge if we want to, but this is the rule. Like, don't do it to intimidate, but sometimes you do need to like lay it out the situation. So speaking as a judge and speaking to someone, Terry Cushman, who is not a judge, which I'm going to give you and Voldemort and some of the other ones that are not judges shit forever for not like taking the test, being a certified judge. Like, you don't have to be a judge in the tournament, but you should at least get certified, if anything, just for like potential grassroots or whatever it is, or if somebody really needs it. But anyway, you had a judge thing you wanted to kind of talk about as well.
Yeah, I just, I was doing so I made it to the final four of the main. I got through
Mhm.
a gentleman whose name I don't remember. His last name's Mike. He's a North Carolina player. I haven't seen him that much, so it might have been a rare one-off tournament, but I got through him. Then I got through Eric Davis, another stressful match. Eric plays me tough every time, it feels like. And then I was playing a guy who's my roommate a lot of the time, Thomas K. And that was a tough match. I couldn't, I couldn't get a big stop or the few extra points to get into position when I needed to throughout that match. And I had, I think, a 2-2 and then a 2 hand as pwn. So I'm like, that's exactly when I do the Cushman maneuver. So I did it. Gave it my normal shuffle, bridge it twice, then the Cushman maneuver. Then I shuffle it one more time and let them cut the deck. Some people will pick it up and shuffle.
Riffle, I
So
believe, is the term I've heard on that. Yeah.
and so I just simply, when he was done shuffling it, I redid the Cushman maneuver. And again, I probably should explain this, even though we have, but that's where I set the deck down in 5 piles right in a row. Bam, 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 just horizontally across. Then I pick up the second one, the fourth one, and then I go 1, 3, 5, and I pick them back up. And then I shuffle it and I set it down. But I told him, I said, now that you've already reshuffled my shuffle, when I set this deck down, all you can do is cut it at that point. You can't reshuffle me twice in the same deal. And he questioned it, and we didn't really make a big deal of it, though. I will say that. But James Ravenscroft happened to be there. He is a judge, by the way, so let's apparently give him some credit.
Yeah. He's clearly a more mature and well balanced individual than you, but that's not a high bar.
All
So
of the above is totally true with that,
yeah,
especially if
yeah.
you saw us play Canadian doubles. Um, but yeah, but he checked it. He's like, yeah, just so you guys know that is the rule. So anyway, but that's not something I would want to call a judge over anyway. And and then just to kind of wrap on that, Keith Miller ended up winning it. So Tom beat me 3-1, and nearly could have won his second tournament ever, which would have been cool for him. But Keith Miller, one of the nicest guys in the room, basically dominated, high qualifier for the event, and then just kind of ran right through the bracket. And then he beat Tom 3-0 in the final. So and he had to go through Donald LaFleur the round before that. He had a pretty tough bracket himself. But yeah, so congrats to him. Jason Stoffer, he was from Florida for a while, or he lived in Florida rather, moved to Toronto for work, happened to randomly show up. I was really surprised. He texted me on my way up that he was there. So it was nice to see him. He was my Canadian doubles partner. We took some tough beats on 4th Street, at least 2 or 3 games. So we could have had this amazing card, but just we got nipped a few times. So, but that's the nature of doubles. And but he ends up winning the consolation on Sunday. So
Okay. All right. Nice.
so
Nice. Hey, just
Fun trip for
curious.
him.
Hey, you play more Canadian than I do. Like,
Yeah.
you think people cheat?
I wonder that, like, you could easily be like, "Hey, if I scratch my head,
Yeah, signal,
that means I threw you middles or threw this to the crib or whatever." So I think it's common, I guess, but it's hard to police. And you can tell us, like, you can tell them before the cards are dealt and be like, "Hey, remember, I count first this hand or whatever." And there was one time where I taught him, like, if you're playing Canadian doubles and both teams are within the last 10 holes, sometimes it's best to keep, if you're not counting first, it's best to keep 219 hands to mix your cards. That way you're a lot more likely to be able to peg out. So, there was one time before he dealt, I said, "Hey, remember that scenario we talked about earlier?" And he's like, "Yeah." So just kind of a
I always wonder
refresher.
what the line is when and what you can give instructions or give suggestions. I'd say before the cards are dealt, it's probably safe, right?
I
Like,
think so.
I think we've all like said to partners before, right? Like, hey, don't forget, like we're first count this time, so you should keep the big hand or whatever it is, right? And I don't
Mhm.
think that's crossing the line, but I'm curious. I think they've made like official rules to Canadian. I just don't have them in front of me, so it probably covers some of the lines of like what talking across the board is. But it's a, again, unsanctioned. It's a fun thing. So like shame on anybody if you scam and cheat in double in any game for the record. I mean, but especially in Canadian doubles, like there's a special spot for you, like in hell if that's where you're going with those. So but good,
Yeah.
glad you had fun. Got, at least got a little something out of it. Those weekends where you just bomb out of everything and just burn so bad. I hate those. Trying to avoid those. And I guess one other thing we should bring up before we jump to the mailbag or the draft, pardon me, is we've got potential like like travel coming up. Like I know my busy season is coming up, but I think you said you're ready to commit. I don't know if you want to do like the official announcement or something like that. Like, it's like when these high school players like commit to certain colleges or whatever it is, you're like wearing the hat. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go play this event or this or that, but you seem like you're ready to commit to another one for sure.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it last week, and over the last several days, I've decided I'm definitely gonna go back to Phoenix for the first time in that'll be 3 years since I was last there. I was tentatively planning on it next year and doing the Henderson into Phoenix run, but perhaps I'll push that back a few more years since I'm going this year. But yeah, like I said, I put my notice in with my company, and it turns out it was looking like next Wednesday will be my last day there. They had a driver in mind, so he's working off a notice basically, and I've offered to stay for a little while if it happens to be busy, but they'll decide when my last day is. But they have until January 7th. But anyway, so that I'll definitely be done by then because that one's the last weekend of January. I've added Topaz to the Reno run, and I'm considering James Raven's cross tournament. We've mentioned him a ton of times already. Maybe we will in the next several minutes. Um,
I imagine so. When you guys find out the topic, yeah.
yeah, and but he's got one up in the Philadelphia area. So I may, if I just smash one of the next couple, I'll probably commit to that one as well.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, excellent. We'll see if you pass the stringent standards to be allowed in the Houston house. We'll
Okay.
see if you have to, I don't know, like pledge allegiance to the state of Texas or something before you enter the place or something like that.
Oh,
We'll figure it
okay.
out, but it's small initiation fee. Like we'll get it together for you.
All
So
right.
okay, on to the fantasy draft. Because we got a full mailbox. So credit to the 29ers for reaching out this week. Apparently, last week's draft is funny because the one piece of feedback I got from it, somebody mentioned to me that they didn't care for the draft topic last week, which is
Oh,
totally fine. Like whatever, people opinions are valid and this and that, and but I feel like this one's gotten more like stuff in the mailbox than we've ever had before. So it just shows you the kind of the spectrum of topics and the cribbage community and the rate some people are going to love it or not. Okay, this week we decided to do what in both of our collective research is going to be a pretty tight one, which is we're going to do cribbage players 40 and under, and I'm going to put a little asterisk on 40 because I sleuthed a little bit. But some of the players on my list, I'm pretty sure are under 40 years old. But if I'm wrong, I apologize. One thing about me, Terry, is I'm the world's worst person at guessing ages. Like I've retired from that topic. I don't do that. Like I'm not in the dating pool, so I don't have to like worry about when I meet somebody like, oh, what's your, are they close enough to my age or whatever it is. But like, yeah, it's so we're gonna go with cribbage players 40 and under. We're gonna say under 40. We would do a 40 under 40, but I don't think there are 40 within this. Yeah, thin list so far. So I've got the Nickel of Destiny here, back in play here. So I'm gonna flip it. Do you want to call it before I flip it?
Okay. I'm not going to switch it up this week. I'll take heads.
Okay. And this might be a highly contentious one. It is, in fact, a tail.
Okay.
And somebody's going to sleuth like these episodes once, go back through the archive like 20 years from now and be like, Jason was cheating on the flip. See, check this, like, see this cell, how this happens. And you can tell where the cut was when he did this and so on and so forth. So anyway, all right. So I'm going to take the first pick on this one. To me, I think there is one player that kind of, at least it's a thin list, but I think I don't think I've made any secret of the strength of Kendra Munkasi's game. So to me, if I'm taking players under the age of 40, she is to me my first pick on the list. So I'll take Kendra as my first selection.
Okay. I'm kind of glad that you did go second because now I had 8 on the list and I didn't. My 8th one, I think is a fantastic player, but nobody knows that player. So now I'm guaranteed to get everyone in on my list since I'm not picking last. All right. So number 1 on my list, and he was number 1 to begin with. I'm gonna go with Trevor Poole.
Okay.
In his 20s, won some really big tournaments. Fantastic player. I'm taking Trevor.
Yeah, winner of the ACC Open, or the whatever they call it now, the Joseph P. Wergen or whatever it is. Like at a really young age, just keeps getting better. Yeah, fantastic player. So Trevor was my second on my little like cheat sheet. So this is going to be the most like snipe heavy of all the ones, just because it's a pretty thin list. I'm very curious if you have names on yours that I've just like flat out forgotten. So okay, so you've got another pick here. Who are you taking?
So I really want the third guy on my list. I want to be able to take that person, and I'm probably going to lose him now. But I really have to just say true to the list, and I'm going to take Jimmy McCarty.
Okay.
Since I've been in the batting average, I mean, he's consistently, towards the top. And I think maybe if I played him at all, it was one time. I can't remember though. Maybe I would have in the All-Star game actually if I did. But everybody in the Central is extremely high on him. Nothing but the highest praise from a bunch of players that I respect immensely. So I have to take him number 2.
Yeah, kind of a quiet guy. I've spent much more time playing Ultimate Texas Hold'em than I have playing Cribbage with Jimmy in Deadwood.
Okay.
That's the most time I've had with him. But he's a sharp person. You can tell he understands cards and play. I haven't played a lot of Cribbage with him, weirdly enough. But yeah, we'll have a conversation here or there. And every once in a while. He's pretty dry sense of humor too. He's kind of a funny guy. So yeah, I think those are good picks. Jimmy was on my list, but like he was definitely not going to get past the next round. All right, so I have 2 in a row here. And I'm going to jump on James Ravenscroft as my next pick.
That was the guy.
just if anything, I think he was kind of the inspiration of this list or of this draft topic. Like you had posted like a picture, this or that, and I was like, oh yeah, yeah, he's really good. What is it? Like works as like like an actuarial work, and clearly numbers like fit his brain. He's a just super sharp player. I feel like I'd never seen him except at Raleigh, and every year you'd see him like going deep. Like his dad shows up. What is it? His like cousin is there too, and I think they play with Scott Harker out there at the club, and I believe it's King of Prussia is the technical city in like the Philly area. But yeah,
Okay.
real sharp players. Like he's somebody I if he traveled more and did the things, I think he would be right up there with a lot of players. So
Yeah, and the only reason I didn't take him was because the other two guys have a bigger body of work and a strong track
sure.
record of success. So I just had to do that. But I will say that I think James could possibly, just looking at this list, might have the highest ceiling of anybody on this list if he were to play regularly. Like he processes and eliminates so fast, a lot like Dave Aiello and Eric Locke do. I
Mhm.
noticed in Canadian doubles, he just not only is he good with process and eliminating, but he can remember the order of all the cards that have been played and whatnot. And that's hard to do in Canadian doubles or any type of doubles. There's a lot going on in a single hand in those games. And my mind just is not as, I don't have the extra features, that
You're the base model. You're the rental
that
car, and he's the
maybe a little bit above base, yeah. So I just don't have that, and I'll say this, and I hope I don't get myself in trouble by saying this, but when he beat Dave Fournier with, let's see, that would have been the second to last, I
something
guess
like that. Yeah,
it would
Final
have been
Four or something
the
along those
the
lines. Yeah.
semifinals of the losers bracket. When he got through Fournier, there was Wilbur Paul left, and then I think Eilers was already
Yeah,
waiting.
Bill Eilers, yeah.
And no disrespect at all to them, but when Ravenscroft got through Fournier, I was like, he's probably going to win the tournament. He's just so far and away advanced. I just felt like he was going to win. And Wilbur Paul, one of the nicest guys in the ACC, healing well from his accident last month as well. If anyone hasn't followed up on that, I absolutely loved seeing Wilbur win it. But if I'm just being true to the analysis here and the styles of play that were remaining in that event, I really thought it was James's to win. But cribbage, there's a lot of factors that happen throughout a match, and Wilbur got him and ended up winning. But I think James is definitely gonna be a future winner of that tournament.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too. I think if I had to make a wager today, like will he win the National Open at some point? I would, assuming he's gonna play and assuming the event, stays as it is for the next however many years. Yeah, I would that my money is on yes. Okay, I get one more pick before you get your last two here. And I'm gonna take a fellow board member, another West Coast player, Kai Limrise. I played him online before I really knew him, and like his game is sharp. I feel like he and Trevor they are kind of known as like hang buddies and stuff like that. Just similar levels of sharpness in his game. I really respect like the way he plays. We'll shoot hands back and forth, this and that. Former, what is it? A former podcast guest, like
Yes.
in the pre Jason era, along with Trevor. But funny guy, nice guy. What is it? Went to the National Open this year. Just really, really sharp player. He was one of those. It's like, and again, this shows my like ability to like guess ages. Like I was like, he's got to be under 40, right? Like I don't want to no disrespect to like hear his age. I think he's like 31 or something like that when I did my sleuthing. But sorry, Kai, if I'm wrong about your age. But yeah, that's more just my dumbness when it comes to guessing ages. So, but yeah, he's next on my list, so I'm going to take him here.
Okay. So that leaves me my next two here. I'm going to go back to the Central and take Adam Schweitzer.
So I tried to sleuth this one, and I feel like he might be ineligible on that one, but I am not
Really?
certain. I just, again, that's as a person who sucks at picking ages. Like I don't mind. Again, apologies, Adam. If in fact, I think I tried to text him and like ask. Oh no, okay, I take it back. He did answer back, and he's within these standards. So
I would.
apparently, the internet did me wrong here.
Okay.
So yes, he is within the standards. I think he would have been on my list had I thought that. So I did just check the text, but yeah, he's within the standards. It's okay. We'll allow it. So
Okay, I was pretty confident in that. And I did some asking around because I mean I've only played so many tournaments in other regions, so
mhm.
I did have to, I didn't need people to tell me Jimmy McCarty was one of the best underput, 40. So, but I did. But anyway, but he was mentioned, so I felt okay about it. And then finally, I'm gonna just kind of stay in the southeast, and I'm gonna take Jacob French as my final pick for the tournament.
My cribbage nemesis, Jacob French. Yeah, I feel like every time I play him, he just beats me like a damn rented mule, like a drum, like a I don't know what else you beat. Like a yeah, he smacks me around every time we play. He's tough, no doubt on that one. So, all right. Well, you left me in a conundrum because I have two names really left on my list, kind of three that I could go with. I have to select one of them. All right, I'm just going to stay true to it and who I've played more. I'm going to take Andy Wagner as my last player in there. It's that's kind of in your zone there in the Carolinas. I think I've mentioned this story on the show before, but I played him in the National Open once and actually made like a slight pegging error, a little pegging misjudgment, and he finished a skunk on me to knock me out. And I never forgot that. He is yeah, he's a sharp guy, good player, like had pretty good results in the limited action that he plays, but I think he's really, really good. And I will give a shout, an honorable mention, because he was literally next name on my list. But I feel like Andy plays a little more than he does, and that is American Jordan. I think I have to give a shout to who I had to reach out
Oh,
to. Yeah, like I the Canadian Jordan too, for the record. I think Canadian Jordan. I don't know his age. There
no,
again, that's
he
part of that where I suck at ages.
as of September he's ineligible. I
All
did
right, all
check
right, there
on
you
him.
go. All right, good. I feel better about that one. I mean, yeah, I did know of Canadian ages, like if there was like a currency rate, he's like actually younger or whatever it is.
The cold air kind of preserves you, and therefore you're like 7
Yeah,
years
something
older.
like that, right? But no, I had to take American Jordan, who is much like James. He is an actuary, and like you can tell, he gets the math elements of stuff. Like we share brains, and I don't want to put myself in like the level of James or whomever, but like in terms of the way the math computes in our brains, it's just like a thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's whether it's you want to say it's like I don't know, like spectrum level, like stuff that like I have. Like it's just numbers have always been a thing for me in like certain ways, and I can like smell my own, and that's at least like American Jordan. I will say that Jordan Hammond is his name. It's like his name is
Yeah.
not actually American Jordan. So, but yeah, I've had some really fun conversations with him about not only like cards, but also just like sports stuff and all these other things. So he's my on my others receiving votes list. I had to also there's one I had to call in and like confirm ages because I was like I'm pretty sure, and he has a common enough name. It wasn't super Googleable to find out ages. Like I get a little sneaky on the internet sometimes, Terry. Like I had to do that in my old job when I was a producer, like hunting down phone numbers and info about people. And I learned a lot about how to use public records to my advantage. So let that be a lesson to those in the cribbage community. Like, don't mess with me. So, anybody else on your list you want to give a shout to before we close up this topic?
Um, I think that'll do it for mine. It was really it was a tough list. Um, Scott early mentioned Peyton Ream from
Oh yeah,
Florida.
yeah. That's worthy shout. Like she is the like clearly somebody who with the right seasoning, you can see the potential in her game. I was very impressed when I played her in the Fort Walton tournament this last year. Um, and was it she got to hang out in Raleigh a little bit, came up there. I know the joke is she was coming over and trying to find excuses to stay longer so that her dad didn't have to like drive home earlier, stuff like that. I hope I'm not snitching
Uh,
on that. So if that's the case, that never happened, and we're gonna pretend like that didn't exist. So right, yeah, good call out on that one. It's kind of funny. Both of us had to kind of call in favors to try to get
yeah.
intel on this draft topic. Oh, a couple other names on my list that I had. I want to give shouts to anybody. Ian Simons. He's a West Coast player, and I played him a couple of times in like Reno and some other stuff. And he's super sharp guy. I've seen his name on some leaderboards before, and a name I did not know, but again, my secret intel mentioned a guy by the name of Jack. I'm going to hopefully say the name right, Lien. And anytime we can promote younger players, I want to at least like bring up those names. So it's a great thing for the mailbag too. If there are names we have missed, and I'm certain there are ones where it's like, oh God, that's obvious. Like please reach out to us, cribbagepodcast@gmail.com.
Cat Hartzell is also a strong honorable mention as well.
Okay.
Won some recent tournaments. So
okay, yeah, right on to Cat. And Cat is such a great ambassador to Cribbage and on the board of directors and like the column in Cribbage World. And so yeah, right on those. I didn't know if that was another one of those. I wasn't sure of like the age elements, and I am not in the business of guessing anybody's ages for the record. So all right, we will jump to the mailbox really quick here, and I'm gonna kind of try to run through these quickly because there is a lot. So right on to the 29ers. First one I'm going to read is from Kevin Anderson, who said, subject line spam folder, by the way, is what he sent, and said, hey guys, just wanted to see what random headline you'd actually open. So congratulations, Kevin, you found it. Mentions that he's in for the long match. So we have another name for the long match, which stay tuned for details on that. But said, just a new name in ACC terms, but have played Jason a time or two via Cribbage over the years and played Terry for the first time this year in Iowa, and has mentioned started a little late recording the agrees disagrees, but for the last, he says 212 hands presented. I think that might be a slight exaggeration. I've agreed with Jason 53.3% and Terry 45.8%. So it's right on in that one. Let's have to get those one going. And he has a couple other things and mentioned there was something with the sports stuff. And oh yeah, P.S. Thanks for invoking my name in the podcast, Terry. But it's Kevin Brown you were looking to mention as the Orioles announcer. I'd love to claim to live rent free, but we need a different result than the first time we played to justify such smack talk. So.
it is Kevin Brown. You're right, and he's got a little bit of Joe Buck in him as well. He's got a piercing voice that can be dramatic.
Okay, I got some hell about Joe Buck on my list, by the way, from a couple people in the grassroots. Like
he's very polarizing.
Yeah. You either love him or hate him. There's no middle ground on that one. What is it? David Hayes checked in. Always try to give a shout to David Hayes. One, that he's jumping in on the long match, and I always give a shout to his podcast because he helps us out, cribbage121.com. Mentions we were talking about the same hand tournament, and he said it's called Duplicate Cribbage, they'd called it. So it's based off of, I guess, the thing they do in Bridge called Duplicate Bridge, which is where all the players play the same hands. Apparently it's been done in a few different places, most notably in Grand National in Atlanta. There was a satellite for that one. Let me see what else. He mentions he liked the picks of Jim Lampley and Don Arcillo, but he says Johnny Most and Joe Castiglione would like to have a word with Terry. I believe those are Red Sox guys. So
I don't know about Johnny Most. That must be going back a little.
I think he is I think he might be Celtics, is old like Celtics broadcaster. So I was just going with like the Boston stuff. So
that could be. And I'm not a big Joe Castiglione guy. I don't know what it is. I don't hate him, but he's just not
still with us. Our first official technical
Oh, am I good?
This is like history of the program. I don't know if one of us is having internet issues, but all of a sudden, like Terry paused and I'm just going to keep talking. It's from my like radio training is going. I show your feed on a smidge of really interesting for those who are watching the actual stream of this. So it is good for now. Terry, I think you still. It looks like it is now just me. So being that we were recording, this is going to be very interesting. I'm just going to keep going through the mailbox, and at some point, Terry is going to jump back aboard. So we have an email from Delana who mentions the broadcasters Phil Rizzuto, this guy, and then also Joe Joe Buck, I should say, Johnny Most, the longtime Celtics announcer. So yeah, that's correct. Russ Hodges, who is the announcer for the Shot Heard Around the World, which is an old baseball one. And then he mentions some of the wrestling ones, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. And it looks like Terry is back with us here.
Do you hear me?
I got you, buddy. Like
Okay.
that was our first technical like glitch of the entirety of this program, which is kind of impressive. We've gone I don't know what point I started doing this. So I don't think we're quite at a year yet, but that's pretty
Yeah.
good. That's our first one. So
Okay.
I missed a
I
golden
felt
opportunity to like talk smack about you like this whole time
I just
while that was going
didn't
on.
like Joe Castiglione. I'm just indifferent more than anything, but
Okay, right.
that's all.
That's fine. You know what? I appreciate you being like a Red Sox homer that you are. Like you are not one of those that everything the Red Sox do is the best thing that there ever was. The people that do that stuff in sports kind of drive me nuts. I feel like a lot of Pittsburgh fans tend to do that. Like everything Steelers or Pirates or Penguins or whatever it is like the greatest thing there ever was. And there's not a question in their mind, and you're a crazy person if you don't think those things. That tends to drive me a little nuts. All right, we'll get back to this one. Here's an email from Robert Milk. It says, "Hi, hashtag Team Carry and Sidekick. For the most part, my list of sportscasters I enjoyed are from a much earlier era." And he listed a few. I'm going to try to run through these kind of quick. In particular that I thought is a valuable and a good shout is he mentions Ice Cantor. Do you have any idea who that is, Terry?
No.
So if I could holler his his famous like catchphrase, if you will, and you Spanish language announcer that does like goal really long. And so I think that's a valuable shout out. He mentioned some other ones in particular, but yeah, right on that one. I I don't know how I'm now sidekick. So yeah, it was nice having the last email in the history on this program. So yeah, thanks for that one. Oh wait, here's another one. He mentions the duplicate cribbage. He actually said hashtag Team Jason on that one. So right, maybe he's back off this suspended list here. So it's really quick here, and then we'll jump to the hands. From here's one from Andy Wagner for pre just drafted Andy Wagner. Hey guys, first of all, I'm joining hashtag Team Jason. Sorry, Terry. I promise that's not why I drafted Andy, but yeah, that's good. That's good. Just like judgment by Andy here. I feel justified in my selection. Love the topic for the draft, though I was surprised at one omission, and there's one other that I would personally put in. Al Michaels isn't as big now, but he's an all-time great, and I would have taken him. Decades of legendary calls, none more important than the "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes, from the 1980 Winter Olympics. The other one I would take is Vern Lundquist, who's a CBS legend. He does the Masters, college football, college basketball, probably a bunch of others. Simply a legend. I like Lundquist was on my list. He does have a very I don't know how you would describe his voice to somebody that's never heard it, but I think he's a quality selection there. Al Michaels, I have to admit, I'm kind of like an Al Michaels, not like a hater, but I worked in radio forever, right? Not forever, like 10 years. But these guys that just go on and have jobs and will never, ever, ever quit drives me nuts because I don't think the young guys get a chance to do it. I may have mentioned that on the show before, but Michaels is like prime example, right? The do you believe in miracles was literally 1980. That's 45 years ago, and he's still doing it. So like he's like 75, 80 years old, still broadcasting. Like hang it up.
81.
Yeah, 81. Like hang it up,
Yeah.
dude. Like let somebody else make some money. But he also mentions Kevin Harlan. He said was a great pick. My favorite clip of him is, and he sends a YouTube link, and I'll just paraphrase it, but he had a NFL game where it was right at the end of the season, and there were playoff implications, and he was calling both games at once, which I thought was incredible. That one's great. So yeah, way to go on that one. Also, credit to Terry. I didn't know the guy's name, but Here Comes the Pizza and Nick Markakis takes strike one clips are top tier. Keep up the good work. So I like Andy. Andy's a good guy. Let me see. Run through the end of this. You know what? I'm gonna jump forward to the hands here because we're almost at We're not too close. We're not
50
too far
minutes.
from an hour mark here, but the rest of that we will kick those out to next week. And we've got a lot of hands to go through, right? And while it's fun for us to yap about sportscasters and pizza and food and fantasy draft, right? I'll come here mostly for analysis, I guess. I would think that's the majority of like what people come here for. So I don't know if you can screen share again or if I need to do that again, Terry.
Oh no, I can do it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Man, I can't believe I missed the opportunity to like smack talk you while you weren't back on the air and see if you would listen to it, like listen back to the shows. I don't know if you listen. I can't hear my own voice. I never go back through and listen to these things. So if like you're editing in things to make me look silly, I would never know it. But yeah. So okay. All right. So here's the first hand here, and it comes from up north, a Canadian Jordan who we'd mentioned before. And so it is, you are not the dealer, right? You are in hole 108, your dealer is in hole 97. And this is a pretty common hand, but I feel like the positions can always dictate this a little differently. So it's 5, 7, 8, Jack, Queen, King. Before we get to your take on this one, do you have a running count of the yes to no on the agree versus disagree?
I
Do we
do.
have a running tally?
Yeah, so 24 agree, 18 disagree.
Okay. All right. Let's see where we end up at the end of the day here. So, I'm going to venture a guess that we agree on this one, but I'm curious if you, I don't know. Every once in a while, you surprise me, Terry. So, what do you do in this spot? So, again, 108, your opponent is dealing in hole 97, 5, 7, 8, Jack, Queen, King. What do you like?
I think you got to throw the 7-8 here.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. To me, if the dealer were further back, I think maybe you could make a case to break this up. But I think in this place, you just have to deal with the variance. Those times when you caught a 7 here and you don't end up getting out. But let's be honest, right? You could cut a 7 in this spot, peg nothing, and still win the game without a whole lot going like right. Um, like it's right holding 9 points at the absolute minimum, even if you don't cut knobs, then you're 4 out, and so your opponent would just have to have a monster hand and crib in order to get out there. Just curious, do you have a line where you might like where the dealer's position might be where you would consider breaking this up, and if so, how would you break it?
Yeah, I think if the dealer was, let's say, maybe 103 or so, I'd consider, but it's tough.
Wait, really? Because I would go the other way. To me, it's the only spot where I'd break this up is if the dealer was further back. Like if the dealer's in like hole 91 or something like that, right? Then I feel more comfortable breaking a hand like this. I still don't love it, but that's where I would at least give it a little more consideration.
I guess you're just in no man's land when you're in the 108 hole. It's more where I'm at, where it's kind of tripping me up. But yeah, you're right. I just feel like if they're 103 or closer, there's a very strong chance I'm probably going to lose this game if I miss the cut or get
Yeah.
destroyed pegging. So yeah, I don't love it, but
Okay. To me, the closer the dealer is in this spot, the much more chance I am to throw the 7-8 and just say, you know what, because it's right if they're dealing from 103 here, it's much less likely there's going to be a next hand, even if I do break my hand here, right? And do you break it with King Queen or King 8?
I like king queen here, especially where I have a jack.
Okay. I feel like the only exception, I agree. The only exception I might make in that spot is if I'm a little closer, like if I was in like hole 110 or something like that, I think you might want to give some thought to like 5, 7, Jack, Queen, because right then the 10 and the King get you 9 points. Much better chance to like actually get out there, right? Like 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, Jack, I should say, in this spot. There aren't as many like, there's more hits to get to like 6 points or maybe even 7 points, but not as many to get you to like 9. If that makes any
Mhm.
sense. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So I'd agree off the bat. That's a good thing. Or maybe it's a bad thing, depending on your perspective. All right. Here's another one from north of the border here. So he mentioned this is a pegging exercise, and like to to me, I have strong opinions on this one, but again, sometimes you surprise me, Terry. So you are a dealer in hole 117, and your opponent is first count in 116. So you are 4 out, your opponent is 5 out, and you are dealt a hand of deal yourself, I should say, the hand of 2 4 5 5 7 8. Do you have a plan here? What are you holding and why?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw the 5 8 here and keep 2 4 5 7, and I just like keeping the closest cards to the 5 to maybe trap something, maybe catch a run at some point in the count. But you're not going to count this hand. They're gonna if you don't peg out, they will win. So I just think that's the best mix.
Okay. I agree for the record, but I'm curious if your logic is the same as mine. Why the 7 and not the 8?
Well, that's what I was trying to explain. Like maybe I'll trap a 6 later on, so I want to keep the 5 and the 7 together.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I agree on that one. I feel like maybe some lesser experienced players might pitch the 5s here. I think we can probably agree that almost any other space on the board, you probably just toss the 5s. Um, but like in this particular place, right? And again, right, put your opponent on hands in these spots. 5 out, especially if they so, when they expose that first card, right? Just, play to your options. But like if you're holding 2 4 5 7, I think is what we said there, right? They lead the face card, start putting them on options of what they might possibly have here. But that's the one. There's a tricky spot with this one too, right? If you throw 5 8, they lead a face card. Say, could you ever give any thought to laying off the 5? Because then right, if they have like I don't know, 4 5 6 king or something like that, you just I think you just lost a game if you play the 5 here.
You could, but I think you still have to. If you're 4 points out, I still think you have to take the first 2 points offered. Or at least
Okay.
that's how I typically play it.
I think so too, but that would just be one that like, I try to pre-think that plan out when I'm in spots like these. It's like I will take my time, hold the cards, and more often than not, I'm spending more time thinking about how I want to peg it than I am really like what I'm going to hold. So, okay. All right. So, 2 agreements there. I feel dirty. Like I agreed with you twice already. That's something's wrong. Like I need to check my meds or something. Okay. All right. Here's one that I had at grassroots. Another sterling week for me at grassroots. Where do you think I ended up at a club? Just to guess.
11 points.
No, 6-3. 6-3 minus 87. I had a beautiful day. So it was okay. But here's one of the ones I had, and I feel like there are 2 very distinct roads to be taken here. So you are first count in hole 101. Your opponent is dealing from hole 91, and it's kind of funny. It's got some similarities to the one that Jordan sent over. So it's ace 5 7 10 jack king. So Terry, what do you like here in this particular spot? And to me, like again, this is one of these. If it's middle of the board, I don't think there's really a question on how you do this. But here, I count 3 different ways I think this could be done.
I was just looking at that. Now, I guess right off the bat, I'm never afraid to throw a 7. Like you can give up a 20 to 24 crib conceivably. It might happen like once a year, if that. But people do have a phobia. I'm not afraid of that. I'm probably not going to throw that in this spot though. You could throw, if you really want to go hardcore defense, you could just throw 10 king. But I think I like 7 king here, and probably lead the face and just kind of feel it out after that. If they dump a 5, I probably drop my ace, and then maybe set up the 31. But that's kind of how I like it. You could, if you throw the 7 ace here, you could conceivably cut into, I guess, only 14 if you cut the 5, because you got the matching jack and 5 together already. And it's probably not going to peg that well. And, you still run the risk of being 5 to 6 points out. So officially 7 king for me on this throw.
Okay. I I ended up and I'll stick with it. Although I feel like I think seven ace is what I will plant my flag on in this one. Just I'm gonna hold the points. I'm gonna like take my chances and ride with it as I need to. Um, like too many times in a spot like this, you just break hands. And granted, you're only breaking up 2 points here, but every once in a while you just catch a clunker and then next hand and then all of a sudden you're sweating things. So I think I'm just throwing caution in the wind, throwing the seven ace and hoping for the best. I feel like okay enough that way, but I this is one of these I just kind of thought over with dealer and hole 91. Like if they were again like two more holes ahead, right, or two more holes back, I feel like I could maybe justify this a little differently. By the way, I think there are four ways now I think about it. I think you can make case for ace seven. I think you can make case for ace king, like you did. Or pardon me, you said
I didn't
king,
consider
you
that.
said
You're
you
right.
said king seven, but I think king ace is a possibility. And you mentioned before, just go ultra defense and throw king 10. Um, yeah, that's all those I think are reasonable thoughts here. Although break it down to two, it might be a little extreme even for me. So yeah, this one's tight. This is one of these. I think I say this on the show a few times, but I want to make like t-shirts of this. Like I could be swayed. Like if somebody wants to like make a case for to me on this one, I could be. I'm willing to be wrong. Like it's and not to get overly preachy on this, that's again big difference between good players and bad players, or good players and great players. In my opinion, is great players are it's almost like I don't think I'm a great player yet, but like I want to be a great player. I think like you need to be okay with being wrong here or there because if I'm wrong about a hand, I learned something. So
Yeah, and just to clarify one other thing, I do like the flexibility as far as navigating through the pegging that I have with ace five, 10 jack as well.
I thought the
Um,
face lead with that is interesting. And then when you said if they play the 15, then you would dump the ace. And
I
I
may do
wonder
it.
I
Yeah.
wonder if there's a thought to just pairing the 5 there. I think it would depend on me on what, like, the cut card is. So if, like, the cut's a face and they lead a face, and then or you lead the face and they play the 15, then I might steer away. But I think if there's, like, a weird cut, like a 2 or something, right? If
Mhm.
and you lead, say, like I assume you lead the jack in that spot, maybe the 10. But
I'd kinda in a spot like this, I kinda like to start low. I just feel like I'm less likely to get trapped. They could pair me maybe out of the gates by leading the low card, but, um,
well, no,
I
but I mean, but the if they play the 5 on your face card lead, right?
oh,
Like it's curious about that element where you're right. You have an ace in your hand, right? Play the 5. You hope they play face card. You get the ace for 31. It's at least when I hold like that one, that's kind of within my thought process. They have another 5, then I just dump my ace. I'm kind of out of, I gave out the 6. I'm not thrilled about it, but that's like I have an out card. It's not like that spot where you can give up the trips and the quad and the 5. Like you have a little card there.
yeah, I don't know. I just on the first 3 streets, that's almost certainly how I would play it, but I guess just on 4th Street, yeah, I'd be a little bit more cautious, I guess.
Okay. And again, to me, it depends on what the cut card is there. Like if the cut's a face and they do that, then yeah, I'm probably off. But again, just part of the process. Okay. So here's another one from Club. So you are first count in hole 68. Your opponent is dealing in hole 71. And these are like my least favorite hands where I feel like you have 2 3 card hands. So the hand is 2 2 2 5 Jack Jack.
That's interesting. Let's
Right?
see.
It's the position is pretty tight. To me, this is kind of a defense spot, but I don't have a defense throw here, in my opinion.
Not really. Um, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I think you have to throw deuce jack here. I'd rather if I'm gonna throw a pair, I'd probably rather throw a pair of deuces than the 2 jacks. But I'm gonna throw deuce jack.
Okay. Weirdly enough, I disagree, and I think the jacks are the throw in this spot. I don't like it, but I'm willing to live with the variance here. Right when you throw pairs, the variance is bigger because right, like when it hits, but when it misses, it misses. If that makes any sense. right? Like if you throw Jack 2, I feel like you can, it's like the very, what could happen with that one will happen. But if you throw the Jacks, I feel like it's your opponent's going to have a big crib or just, kind of thin, right? It's not a whole lot of 4-point cribs they're going to have there. So I'm gonna toss the Jacks there and just deal with it. But yeah, I hate the thought of breaking down the points there. And 2-2-2-5. I feel like also I can kind of stay out of trouble pegging there.
Yeah, the only scenario you really have to dodge is if you don't want them to play a 4 on your deuce, but aside from that, I think you're good.
Yeah, yeah. It depends on the player too, right? And again, it's are they capable of that kind of play? Right. If they do things like that. So I think that can be a little bit of a difference there. All right. So mark that down for disagree after a couple
Yeah.
of we're going back to normal here. So all right. So here's a fun one. So this we file this one under a good problem to have. So you are dealer in hole 55. Your opponent is non-dealer from hole 58. And there is a flush in here as well. So it is 6, 7, 7, 8, 9 king, and the 6, 7, 8, and 9 are suited. So couple different ways to hold 12 here, Terry. Which do you prefer?
I'm just gonna stay conventional here and throw 9 king. I just like keeping the ace and the 2 in play for 16. Your ceiling, aside from you could obviously get 24, so I guess that is the highest ceiling, which is the way I'm holding it, I guess. But I mean, you probably have an easier path to 20 by keeping the 6, 7, 8, 9 all clubs. But I feel like I'm going to be in position no matter what. They're out of position. I may as well just keep them there with the king 9. So I'm just going to stay conventional.
I mean, they're not far out of position here, right? They're like 2 points out of position.
Oh, I had it backwards. I am so bad. I just
Yes, you are. No.
botched that.
No, all
I
right.
just
Well,
botched that all to hell. All right. No
I give you a
take
chance to
backsies.
reclaim your territory. Yeah, no, it's all right. So seeing the position more clearly now, right? Like put on your glasses, Grandpa. Like,
Yeah.
again, and just for those listening again, so you are dealing in hole 55. Your opponent is first count in hole 58, and again, the hand is 6, 7, 7, 8, 9 king with a flush in there of 6, 7, 8, 9. So looking at it more closely, does anything change?
Yeah, I'm keeping the flush.
Okay.
After all that, I
What did you see wrong? Now I'm just kind of curious
I
because
thought it was their crib. So I'm like, I'm just throwing king 9 here and keeping an easy, an easy 12 with a bunch of shots at 16. But I guess the reason why I like it better now that I'm the dealer is I think I think 6, 7, 8, 9 probably pegs a little bit better. You got more options there. I mean, the 7 may play in the crib, it may not because you get a lot of those outs already in your hand. But I feel like they're still relatively out of position. So um, I'm keeping the flush. I'm a
okay.
dumbass. That was my
Nice.
pants on the ground. That was my pants on the ground moment for the
We need
podcast.
to find another phrase for you for other than pants on the ground. Like we can, like we'll take submissions to that one at cribbagepodcast@gmail.com. But for the record, I agree on the flush. I think it's told
Yeah.
here, right? So like, what is it? I guess 11 cuts because you know where one of the sevens are at 20 points. Also in our club, a straight. Not that it came into my thinking here, but a straight flush is like a side pot of ours, which is a little fun one. But so I had open-ended draw at that. I thought that was the best way to go about it. But yeah, it's kind of he stinks not having the 24 draw also just as part of it. But that's and not really much to be had in the crib no matter what you do. For the record, the result on this one, I think I just cut something very inconsequential, like a
You
4 or
cut a
something.
4.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, is something really boring. So bummer. All right. All right, here's another one that I threw in, and this is like great theory about early gameplay. So this is 0-0 your opponent's crib, and these are the spots where, well, I'll let you opine, and then I will kind of give some of the things that I heard about spots like these. So 0-0 your opponent's crib, ace, 8, 9, 10, king, queen. Two very distinct roads to go here. You got to pick one.
Yeah, so the two tosses I have in mind, it's definitely their crib this time, so I know what planet I'm on. Is Ace King possibly? Because I could lead the queen and then maybe pair an 8 or a 9. That's in my playbook. I do that sometimes, but I think I'm just going to throw the king queen here, lead the ace, and just pair whatever, including the 10. I know that's might sound insane, um, but yeah, I'm just going to throw the two highest cards and try to make this work.
So I agree with you on that element. And I also agree on pairing the 10 in that this is one of those things you pre-decide certain elements, right? If you lead the ace in this spot, and I think the ace is the lead, but like you have to live with the pairing the 10 and that potentially giving up the 8 points in pegging. Because if you play the ace and they play a 10, well, you gotta play the 8? Like that's not
Y-
like that feels
Everything's dangerous. Yeah.
right. Yeah, there's not really like the only way that I would fade that 10 in that spot is if I'm playing a player that is so predictable and conventional. And right, some people almost tip off when they're playing from pairs. But yeah, I agree. The king queen in this spot, and I will live with the 16 cribs as they occur, and I think I can like steal a little more in the pegging over the life of that. So okay, all right. Here's an agree there. All right, we are to the Terry section of it here, which is, again, a different world with pants on the floor and all those things. But being this is your world, so I'm going to let you introduce the hand.
All right, this is one of the hands that I observed James Ravenscroft play. It was in a playoff game. I think he was playing Frank Abernathy, and that match had some interesting dynamics in it. Frank kept coming back. I think he stole one game. I don't think it was this one, but I could be wrong. But anyway, so they're tied each in the 95-95 hole, and it's Frank's crib. So James is pwn here, and he's holding 3-4, 5-5, Jack Queen.
All right. Like to me, this screams defense. Right. There's no way I'm getting anywhere close to out. I think the only way I do anything other than what I'm doing is if I literally see the cut card beforehand and it's a 3. Um, but I'm actually throwing, and I'm going to break this a little funny. I'm going to throw queen 4 here, which might be a little different than most, but I feel like it gives me more options within the pegging. Um, like I'm still holding 6 points, which is plenty that I need in that spot, but I just like queen 4 a little better to my opponent's crib than queen 3, 3 being that connector's card. Gives me the 3 lead. And I feel like I can dodge a little more as I need to. Right. The position may be a little bit different than I maybe just hold my nose and throw the 3, 4, but because I have 2 of the 5s, in fact, I'm almost trying to talk myself into that one as I'm like reasoning this one out. But no, I think this. Yeah, I just have to throw the 2 most defensive cards in my hand, and in this case, it's queen 4.
Okay. He threw it 3 queen, I believe, if I
Okay,
remember
I,
correctly.
I I could understand that one. I think you have to throw defense here, but I just like even with 6 cut there, it's just that's a long way to go. We're trying to peg 10 there. So and you what do you like here, Terry?
I would not have played it safe, and based on the cut, I probably would have lost the game. But I would have just thrown the face cards and just kept the big hand.
Really? Okay. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna kind of go, I mean, let's dig down that rabbit hole a little further. Like, if you're gonna do it that way, why the face cards and not like 3, 4 there?
Well, I mean that's a
I mean, I
great
guess you have
question.
you have one more cut at 20, right? Like there are 3 threes in the deck versus the only 20 that comes out of this one is the 2 5s. I guess they're what 21, I guess you could have, but
So my logic here is similar to an earlier hand where you had the 3 deuces, the 5, and the 2 jacks.
just real
And
hit or miss with the crib.
yeah, I mean, if he so much as throws one middle in there, I'm not probably not going to get destroyed in the crib. But yeah, I just feel like it's an all or nothing type throw. 3-4 kind of plays that way too. Maybe he's got a leftover 5 in there. I mean, I guess he could throw deuce 3, but typically 3-4 isn't the dangerous throw that a lot of people feel it could be. But yeah, and you never know. I mean, I would, let's say I did break it up and just, let's say I held it your way, 3-5-5 jack here. That gets you to, within 19 or 20 from the end. But you could still fall on your face. So
You could. I mean, certainly we've all been there, right? Like you're dealing. Shoot, I mean, I'm curious. Like somebody's gonna have a story where they like didn't deal out. I think I played a. This is not. I don't know if I should say the player. I was playing a Gary McCuskey once in a side game, and I think he didn't deal out from 5. Like,
wow.
I think he went, like, 2 blank blank or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was, it was we were just, like, dying laughing at the end of the game and just, like, couldn't believe what happened. So I think we've all that's, like, the thinnest one I think I've heard. It might have been 6. Gary will probably correct me on that one. But it's yeah, I think we've all had games like that where it ends up, and I certainly can understand the logic with 4-5-5 jack there. Just curious, did he lead the jack? What was the what's I don't know
I
if you
want to
lead the
say
4 or the jack there.
I want to say he led the 4, but he just started listening to this in the last month or so, so I'm sure he'll weigh in.
Okay, good to have him. Thank you for listening, James. Like, you can bring some logic to the inbox. Tell me all the ways that Terry is wrong. But yeah, that's a tricky one too. It's like knowing your opponent, and that there are some players that even in spots like this, they don't know enough to know to like attack, take everything. Like there are some players where it's like I feel comfortable leading the 4 there because I think even if they have it, they might not play it. Um, but against a opponent that I understand is going to like understand the spot, I feel like I might just right. I get 2 5s in my hand. I probably just lead the jack and try to find a spot to get rid of the 3 or the 4. So
Yeah.
just just the little things in this silly game. Okay. All right. Well, mark that down as a disagree. That's
Yep.
that's a medium disagree. It's like if you're ever at like I don't know, like a Asian restaurant, they have the peppers on the menu of like, hey, how spicy something is.
Yes.
It's like our disagree level. It's like, it's like 3 head shakes. That's like, okay, Terry, that's only a 2 head shake like disagreement that we had on that one. So all right, so there's another one of yours, or James's perhaps. Go ahead.
It is James's, and I'm not sure I had the holes exactly right, but generally speaking, this is about where they were. The
Okay.
dynamics were about the same. So in this hand, he does have the crib this time. It's on First Street. They're tied each in the 16 hole. That's how I went with it anyway. James is holding ace 2-3 5-8-8.
Hmm. I think for me, this is just I don't need to overthink it or be, like overly tricky here. It's pretty early. I think I'm just throwing a 3 ace to my own crib. I've got like the deuce Jenga cut, if you will, or the bingo cut. Like I don't like 2 8s to my own crib. And even if I did that, I don't love the way that ace 2 3 5 pegs. Um, like maybe there's another weird one that's in there somewhere, like a 5 8 or something, but I don't like it. So I think I'm just sticking conventional in this spot and throwing ace 3.
Wow, that is how he threw it, and with no hesitation whatsoever, I would throw the eights. And I think deuce 5-8-8 or any variation of those 3 cards, like maybe it's a pair of twos. I think that's a very commonly overthought hand, or at least a hand that conflicts people. Because let's say it's totally different. Let's say sometimes I'll throw face 5 and keep like deuce 6-8-8 and just load the crib, hope for a middle type thing. And I was doing that for a little while, and then a couple of years ago, I just kind of committed. Nope, I'm just not gonna overthink it exactly as you laid it out. And so I've kept the pat hand in that spot, but this is where I'm comfortable breaking it because I'm very likely gonna end up with about 6 or 7 here, regardless. And my crib, has some potential. So that's why I kind of, without much hesitation, I would have thrown the eights. So I'll be curious to what the audience may feel about it, but um, that's how I would have thrown it.
Okay. I just, right? They say throw two eights to your own crib. Most time you're gonna flip up a 2 point crib. And again, just the one ace 2 3 5. Like I like that better as a non-dealer hand. But as dealer, that's just one of those that can get real tricky in the navigating of it. Right. They lead a little card. I know you're gonna pair almost without hesitation, but I tend to, especially with twos, I tend to exercise maybe a little caution. Right, I feel like you don't have opponents lead a lot of twos from hands that they don't have two of them. Right, you got the four leads here that just get real dicey. Like even just having that, you get a lot of trouble with ace 2 3 5 as dealer. So I'm not thrilled about that one as much. All right, so put that
It
down as
did
a
work out perfectly for him though. He cut the two. Yeah, he did cut the two for
yeah.
12, and
Two's the monster cut. Yeah.
yeah, I don't remember the crib was massive, but it must have been pretty decent.
Okay. All right. All right. I feel good. Like if you disagree with me and James agrees with me, I feel
Yeah.
better about this. This is like a therapy session for me. Like I'm gonna walk out feeling better. Just like drop my copay in the mail for you. Okay. All right. So we got another one here. Go right ahead.
Okay, so this was a hand I had, and the tragic thing about this was I had this game under control. It was game 4 in the final 4 of the tournament, and my opponent had just hit a 20 hand. He was holding sevens and eights, and then cut a 7 or an 8. So suddenly I was in a bad spot, and it was his crib. And so I'm in the 68 hole. He was dealing from the 70 hole. So he's essentially in perfect position here. And I was holding ace 2, 4, 5, 6, queen. And there's a flush here. So the ace 4, 5, queen was suited, and the deuce and the 6 did not match. So one more time, ace 2, 4, 5, 6, queen
Okay.
to his crib.
To me, this is a no hesitation throw. I'm throwing 6-2. Right. I'm going to hold my 8 points. Your opponent is dead on the 50-50 number. So this is suddenly a coin flip game, as you put it. But I try to take that part of the equation, at least what happened the hand before. So just this spot, like, I don't see a great reason to like hold it anything funky. Especially this is kind of a defense spot. So like a lot of times in a spot like this, I'd hold ace 4, 5, 6. Right? They say one of the best peggers in the game, but even in this spot, if I were to do that, I don't love that because I don't want to give up anything crazy in the pegging. And if you lead the ace, things can go awry from that one, right? They play a middle card and you're kind of forced to pair it. I don't want to be in that spot. Like ace 4, 5, queen, I feel decent about my abilities. Just hold a decent hand there and just try to avoid pegging. Like there's a little bit of a spread there. I tend to like the ace lead. That's a very Voldemort thing, the ace lead from the ace 4 face hands. But I think in this spot, I'm holding it that way, and I'm just going ultra conventional, leading the 4, trying to dump my ace as quickly as I can, or dumping 5s as quickly as I can there. So ace 4, 5 face for me pretty easily.
I was thinking in this spot, I want a big stop here. I want him well short of that skunk line, and I'm not Mr. Defense, as we know, so it's not really a role that I'm comfortable in. And my first thought was actually to throw ace 2 and
Hmm.
just hope he just straight up missed. And the flush, I mean, it looked nice, but I just thought 6-2, there's a lot of combinations where that could hurt me. If he throws all low cards, he can get 12 that way. If he throws middle cards, I think the 6 probably plays into it. I thought the deuce 6 was kind of dangerous, in my opinion. So I never was real close to throwing it. What I did end up doing here was I actually threw ace queen. since I had a 4 in my hand and I led the deuce. I wasn't real. I mean, if he paired it, I'd have played the 6. And, if he took a 15, I would have just simply paired it. But um, a lot of people play nines, on a deuce or a 4. But anyway, so that's what I did. It sort of worked. He had 2 pair in the crib, queens and kings. So and then he got, I think, within 4 or 5 of the line, which was closer than I obviously wanted. But and I forget what we cut. It wasn't anything that was super
Well, you said
consequential.
it was 2 queens or 2 kings in the crib, so one of the cut card had to be a queen or a king.
That's right. So it was a queen then, because he must have thrown 2 kings. So right.
Okay.
So yeah, my ace deuce, as it turned out, would have yielded only a 2-point crib. I'm not sure if the pegging would have went much differently, but yeah. So it worked out okay, and but it just I couldn't slow him down on 4th Street. He had an 8 crib on me in a key spot, and that kind of got him within range of the end. So
Okay. I'll hear you out on the ace deuce. I will not hear you out on queen ace there. Like it's queen ace, queen deuce, not all that different in my book here. Just out of curiosity, you said you led the deuce. What do you if he plays the 7 on it, do you play a 4? Right?
yeah,
If he plays
yeah,
6, you said you committed to pairing it. That's fine. But like
yeah,
if he plays 7, you just drop the 4 on it.
I would, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Like I said, I disagree. I think that's I'll hear you out on the ace deuce, but that's just still, hold the points there. I'm not really I that if anything, what you said previously about right, you end up breaking a hand like this and you ended up short later down the board. I see no reason to break down to I guess I guess there are cuts that miss 2, 4, 5, 6, but not many of them. But to break down to 5 points is not in my playbook there. So
Well, 4, 5, 6. Well, 5 probably sinks me no matter what. But I mean, I still had plenty of decent cuts for double digits, or let's say 9 to 12 at least. But
okay, fair, fair. All right, I think we are reset back to the start of it. So if you
not.
wanna,
Oh yeah.
yeah, because
Oh,
that was the
yeah.
original Canadian Jordan hand here, so we are good to go. All right, so that was a quick hour and a half show here, Terry. Beyond the weird like connection issues that we had, I still gotta I'm gonna like tattoo that on like my hand here. It's like if Terry drops out, start talking smack like this. Just my
Yeah.
new like life philosophy is just kill you whenever I can, like behind your back. So where did we end up on this one? I think we were about 50-50 on agree versus disagree there.
Yeah, there were 9, so we actually disagreed one more time. So it was 5 disagree, 4 agree. Um, and then let's see. Yeah, so now we're 28 to 23.
Okay, it's getting closer. Like the it's I wonder like the swings of this if we'll ever, like truly hit 50-50 on this. Kind of depends on the hands that we have submitted, right? Like
Mhm.
some are a little easier to agree on than others, but these are fun. We always appreciate everybody's contributions. I think I have a couple from the mailbag next week. I just didn't really have time to like get all those in. So apologies to those in the mailbag that we did not get to. I will be sure to try to load them up for next week. And what is it, like holiday season's coming up? So you got no more cards the rest of the year mapped out, like just hitting January for you before you do anything else,
Yeah, 2 in January, maybe 2 in February, and then a week long string in March.
right? Reno, of course, like be here
Yeah.
before we know it. I checked recently. I got way ahead of things. Like I don't know if you do this. This is a little side topic. I'll save it for another time. But like I tend to send in my entries in bulk. Like I don't know if you actually do the thing, mail them out, or if you just tell people you're coming.
I can Venmo most of them from down here, and then I'll pay cash at, you know, all the others.
Don't you have to in Reno though? Like, do you pre-register for like
Oh,
the
maybe I
TOC and
do.
stuff like that? Some of those
Mm,
I would I mean, like if
yeah,
Rick and Peggy are listening, like just lock Terry out of the events, will you? Like, don't let
now
him.
that
Don't.
you
Yeah,
mention it, I think I did write a check last year, yeah.
yeah. It's literally like the only thing I have checks for. Like, it's so it's but by the way, I'm not knocking like tournament directors. Like that's a hard job. So like if they, if they want to require checks, they, that's how they do it. But no, for me, it's like I just knock them all out at once. And yeah, if there are ones like I think what is it, Megan and Jennifer Megafer accept like Venmo. So
Yeah, that's so convenient.
oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Like I would encourage any director, please, like if you can do that. I understand if especially for some of the big events, if that's not something they want to do. Plus, like, I don't know. Like again, I am willing to volunteer my time. Anybody within the ACC, if you would like instructions on how to digitally pay for things, like I am willing to sit down, do the FaceTime, like explain, walk them through their phone, all those good things. But like I have patience when it comes to like technology and those elements. I think I mentioned this on the podcast before. I once suggested that the grassroots club that we have go cashless. And the suggestion, this is like about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. Like my memory of that moment is there's a sweet, wonderful English woman that plays in our club or used to play in our club. And I'll shout her out on the podcast. I consider her a good friend, Anita Murray, and she's got the sweetest, most wonderful like English accent. Right? We as all as Americans are like Anglophiles and love the things. And like, and I remember she just paused, looked at me, and said, "Nice try." And that was kind of the end of that at club. So maybe one day these days I'll reboot it. So but all right, well, maybe we'll sit down. Hey, we're going to start taking our list again. Get those entries in for the competitive cribbage podcast long match. We are working on details for that. Canadian Jordan is already volunteered some of his time, and I think we're going to try to have it on Cribbage Pro. So we will have more details on that, whether it's be financial or actual like other elements of it. But yeah, I'm super looking forward to sitting down and having some long matches. Gosh, I wish I could have it during the holidays so I could just like ignore all family and all that stuff. But I guess we'll cut people a break for those.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, for Mr. Offense, for Tinfoil Terry, for Pants on the Ground, Cushman, Jay Smithini here from the mothership, wishing everyone a wonderful week. Please take it easy on yourselves.